The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, Sri Lanka's apparel exports surged by 9.84% in July, driven by strong demand from EU and other markets. Colombo port to expand bunkering infrastructure in bid to strengthen Sri Lanka's role as regional maritime hub. Sri Lanka stocks advance as ASPI and the SLP SL20 record modest gains amid positive market sentiment. And US stocks climb as Trump criticizes Federal Reserve and Nvidia shares rally ahead of earnings.
From Studio 24C, here's Prashansa Gunawardena.
Good evening and welcome to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's apparel exports rose by 9.84% in July 2025, reaching $455.16 million compared to the previous year. Strong growth was seen in the EU and other markets, contributing to a 9.09% increase in the exports for the January to July period.
Sri Lanka's apparel exports grew by 9.84% in July 2025, reaching $455.16 million compared to $414.38 million in July 2024. The strongest growth was seen in exports to the EU, excluding the UK, which rose by 26.69%, followed by a 24.24% increase to other markets. Exports to the UK grew marginally by 0.72%, while shipments to the USA declined by 2.7% during the month. For the first 7 months of 2025, total apparel exports increased by 9.09% to $2.92 billion. Growth was broad-based, with the EU, other markets, the UK and the USA all showing positive gains for the period.
Sri Lanka's central bank settled $900 million of debt to Reserve Bank of India and $209 million to the IMF during the year ending March 2025. The bank has been repaying loans borrowed through the Asian Clearing Union and a $400 million RBI swap from the 2019 to 2020 currency crisis. Despite repayments, about $1.3 billion of RBI dues remained by March 2025, along with $663 million owed to the IMF from earlier loans. The central bank's net foreign assets improved as a result of these settlements, although concerns remain about its ability to generate enough dollars outright due to low interest rates. Gross reserves have stalled since October 2024, with questions raised about the sustainability of the central bank's reserve collection under current conditions. Sri Lanka is expanding bunkering facilities at Colombo port to enhance its position as a regional maritime hub. A new pipeline system and oil shipping facilities have been developed to improve ship oil trade and overcome previous supply disruptions.
Sri Lanka is expanding bunkering facilities at Colombo port as part of its plan to become a regional maritime hub. The Petroleum Corporation and the Petroleum Bulk Terminal Company are jointly upgrading pipeline systems and oil shipping infrastructure. A new pipeline system was established to address previous limitations that disrupted the supply of ship oil. The first shipment of ship oil was delivered through the new pipeline at the Colombo Port South Terminal via a private company. Minister of Energy Kumar Jayakodi highlighted this as a significant step in developing the ship oil trade and supporting the government's naval hub ambitions.
Foreign investors sold Sri Lanka government securities for the second consecutive week ending on the 21st of August with net sales of 1,342 million rupees. Despite this, emerging market equity funds attracted renewed interest, drawing a net $458 million in inflows. Global investors bought a net $2.13 billion worth of bond funds last week after 2 weeks of outflows. Sri Lankan rupee bonds saw some buying interest totaling $30 million in the 2 weeks ending August 7th amid easing trade tensions. Since December 26, 2024, Sri Lanka has recorded total foreign inflows of 37.5 billion rupees into rupee bonds. Analysts attribute this to Sri Lanka's deflationary policies and curtailed imports, despite the rupee experiencing slight decline since tariff-related outflows in April. Let's take a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. The Colombo stock market saw modest gains today with key indices closing higher. Both the ASPI and S&P SL20 ended the day on a positive note. For further insights, we have Manush Kandanarachi from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Prashansa. Continuing the positive momentum from yesterday, the Colombo bourse maintained steady upward momentum with steady fund flows to the market. Selected construction sector and material sector counters gained momentum with increased participation from both retail and high net worth investors. Accordingly, the all share price index closed the day at 20,753, gaining 140 points as well. Access Engineering, Valuable One, Ceylon Tobacco Corporation, Royal Ceramics and Cargill Ceylon contributed positively to the index's performance. S&P SL20 index also rose by 14 points to 6,062. Market turnover increased to 7.4 billion rupees, representing a 17% incline compared to the monthly average of 6.3 billion rupees as well. The diversified financial sector led turnover contributions with a 20% share, while the banking and capital goods sectors collectively accounted for nearly 20% of the today's total turnover. Thank you.
Sri Lanka held its latest government treasury bill auction today, attracting investor participation. The auction results will provide insight into the country's current borrowing costs and market sentiment. For further insights, we have Akna Thenakon from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Prashansa. Today, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka concluded its weekly treasury bill auction, raising a total of 51.14 billion rupees out of the targeted amount of 82 billion. Total bids received stood at 158 billion rupees, while acceptance remained selective. The 3-month T-bill offered at 15 billion rupees received bids worth 17.4 billion. However, only 4.6 billion rupees were accepted, significantly below the offer. The weighted average yield edged slightly lower to 7.58% from 7.59%. The 6-month bill saw the highest demand, with bids amounting nearly 77 billion rupees against an offer of 32 billion. The central bank accepted 36.5 billion, slightly above the offer. The weighted average yield remained unchanged at 7.89%. For the 12-month maturity, 35 billion rupees were offered and 63.7 billion rupees in bids were received. The accepted amount was limited to around 10 billion, well below the initial offer. The weighted average yield held steady at 8.03%. Overall, while subscription levels were moderate, the central bank maintained a cautious acceptance strategy, with yields across all maturities remaining stable or easing slightly. Thank you.
Gold prices fell in Asian trade today after rising to an over 2-week high as US President Donald Trump's attempts to fire a Federal Reserve governor sparked renewed concerns over the central bank's independence. Spot gold fell 0.5% to $3,378.29 an ounce, while gold futures for October fell 0.1% to $3,428.70 an ounce. Broader metal prices curbing their gains this week. Spot gold platinum fell 0.1% to $1,353.71 an ounce, while spot silver fell 0.3% to $38.50 an ounce. Among industrial metals, benchmark copper futures on the London Metal Exchange fell 0.1% to $9,838.55 a ton, while COMEX copper futures fell 0.5% to $4.52 a pound. Oil prices held steady in Asian trading today after sharp losses in the previous session as traders weighed the impact of steep US tariffs on India and weaker than expected declines in US crude inventories. Brent oil futures expiring in October inched down 0.1% to $67.16 per barrel. While West Texas Intermediate crude futures also dipped 0.1% to $63.17 per barrel. In a move tied to India's aggression in buying Russian crude, the US is imposing an additional 25% tariff on Indian imports, doubling the total duty to 50% starting from the 27th of August. Gasoline and distillate stocks decreased by 2.1 million barrels and 1.5 million barrels respectively. The Sri Lankan rupee has depreciated further against the US dollar today compared to yesterday. According to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the buying rate of the US dollar has increased from 298 rupees and 47 cents to 298 rupees and 49 cents, while the selling rate has also increased from 306 rupees and 01 cents to 306 rupees and 03 cents. The Sri Lankan rupee has changed slightly against a basket of foreign currencies, including Gulf currencies. Let's take a closer look on how the Sri Lankan rupee has performed among the other major global currencies. Short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Commercial Bank of Ceylon, in collaboration with Visa, has launched a campaign rewarding international card usage. Winners stand a chance to enjoy luxury holidays in Singapore and the Maldives.
The Commercial Bank of Ceylon, in partnership with Visa, has launched the Visa International Usage Campaign to reward cardholders for using their Visa cards internationally. Running until the 15th of November, the promotion is open to all commercial bank personnel Visa debit and credit card holders. The campaign aims to encourage the use of cards for cross-border transactions, both online and in-store. The grand prize includes a luxury getaway for two to Singapore, featuring business class air tickets and a 2-night stay at a top-tier hotel. This initiative supports the bank's strategy to promote digital payments and enhance customer experiences with secure and convenient international transactions.
Aitken Spence Elevators Limited has signed an MOU with Rush Holdings Limited to supply 9 OTIS Gen 2 Hertz machine roomless elevators for 5 upcoming residential projects in Colombo district. The developments include May Moon Residencies, Rush Court 5, Rush Tower 2, Street Rush Residencies and Rush Metropolis. Aitken Spence Elevators, the exclusive provider of OTIS solutions in Sri Lanka, services over 95% of Colombo's high-rise buildings and is the only elevator company in the country with the integrated ISO certifications. The elevator units will be manufactured at OTIS's advanced facility at Hangzhou, China, ensuring high safety and quality standards. The partnership builds on a strong history of collaboration with over 15 OTIS elevators already installed in previous Rush projects. Ceylon Bank has partnered with Homelands Group to offer exclusive home loan facilities for aspiring homeowners. The collaboration enables customers to access up to 90% financing with competitive rates and personalized service.
Ceylon Bank PLC has partnered with Homelands Group to provide exclusive home loan solutions for customers purchasing property directly from Homelands. Under this agreement, the bank offers home loans up to 90% of the property value, the highest financing level Ceylon Bank has ever provided. The loans come with competitive interest rates starting from 9.0% and include personalized support from dedicated home loan specialists. Customers benefit from faster approvals, long repayment periods, and convenient island-wide branch services for documentation and post-approval support. Ceylon Bank aims to make home ownership more accessible, while Homelands emphasizes the strength of their long-standing partnership.
The Asian Paints Causeway SLADA Racing Championship 2025 launched successfully at the Rotherham Katakurunda circuit, drawing record crowds and marking a strong return for Sri Lankan motorsports. Asian Paints Causeway, as the title sponsor, played a key role in supporting the event and the broader automotive industry. Ashan Silva, Sri Lanka's most decorated driver and brand ambassador, won the SLGT cars up to 3,500cc category and was named Best Driver of the meet. The championship also highlighted rising talent, with 14-year-old Chenuka Caldera becoming the youngest ever winner of the Best Rider trophy. Organised by SLADA in collaboration with the Sri Lanka Army and Air Force, the event reaffirmed Katakurunda's status as a motorsport hub. National Development Bank recently held its analyst earnings call to discuss its strong financial performance for the first half of 2025, following the release of record-breaking results.
National Development Bank hosted its analyst earnings call to review its financial results for the 6 months ending June 30th, 2025. The bank reported a record profit after taxing exceeding 4.2 billion rupees, marking an institutional all-time high. CEO Callum Edrisinghe and the senior management team discussed key macroeconomic trends and the bank's performance across income, profitability, balance sheet growth, and investor returns. The call highlighted strategic focus areas including asset growth, CASA mobilization, cost optimization, and portfolio quality improvement. NDB also emphasized its ongoing investments in digital transformation, SME empowerment, sustainable banking, and support for national priorities like export sector growth.
Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Most Asian stocks moved in a tight range on Wednesday, with technology shares on the back foot in anticipation of key earnings from artificial intelligence bellwether Nvidia Corp. China, Shanghai Shenzhen CSI 300 and Shanghai Composite indexes rose 0.7% and 0.3% respectively, remaining close to multi-year highs hit earlier this week. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index rose 0.1% on some strength in local tech stocks, especially chip makers. Japan's Nikkei 225 and Topix indexes steadied after hitting record highs at the beginning of the week. Singapore's Straits Times Index shed 0.1%. Australia's ASX 200 index rose 0.2%, moving little as investors grappled with a barrage of mixed cues. Wall Street's main indexes ended higher, lifted by Nvidia and Eli Lilly, while President Donald Trump's decision to remove a central bank governor, Lisa Cook, deepened concerns about the Federal Reserve's independence from politics.
U.S. stocks ended slightly higher on Tuesday, with the Dow adding 0.3% and the S&P 500 and NASDAQ each gaining about 0.4%. President Trump late on Monday said he was removing Fed Governor Lisa Cook over alleged improprieties in obtaining mortgage loans, adding to concerns about the central bank's independence from politics. Nvidia rose about 1% ahead of its quarterly report, which will show how the world's most valuable company is faring in the crossfire of Washington and Beijing's ongoing trade war. Other movers included EchoStar, which surged 70% to a record high after telecom giant AT&T said it has agreed to buy certain wireless spectrum licenses from the satellite communications firm for about $23 billion. And shares of Eli Lilly jumped almost 6% after the drug maker said its experimental pill cuts body weight by 10.5% in diabetes patients.
A host of global postal services temporarily suspended parcel shipments to the U.S. following President Donald Trump's order to terminate the global de minimis exemption, a rule exempting low-value items from customs duties.
A host of global postal services temporarily suspended parcel shipments to the U.S. early this week. Taiwan's national postal provider, Japan Post and Australia Post were among a number to take action. They did so after President Donald Trump's administration cancelled a customs tax rule that allowed low-value packages to enter duty. The US government last month moved to suspend a de minimis exemption for low-value shipments. It said packages valued at or under $800 sent to the country would face all applicable duties from August 29th. Goods shipped through the postal system would face one of two tariffs. One is a duty equal to the effective tariff rate of the package's country of origin, or a specific duty of $80 to $200 depending on the country of origin's tariff rate. Several European carriers also temporarily suspended parcel shipments. It included Swiss Post and DHL, which runs Germany's postal service Deutsche Post.
That wraps up today's Nightly Business Report. We value your opinion. Share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. We will see you again tomorrow with the latest updates in the business globe. Vinod Varnasuriya will join you next with other Derana Sports Central. Until then, I'm Prashansa Gunawardana. Thank you for watching and have a good night.